Okay.
So we have not been able to get the lighting quite right here. We're not talking to the folks on Facebook. We're talking about talking to the people here on YouTube. But I am Arlene Kahet, Purifying Light of God. That's what Kahet means. And this is King Teasdell, also known as King Abadele.
Oba Dele.
You certainly look
I
strange with
am
that.
King Oba Dele, giver and receiver of a deeper wisdom.
Yes.
I honor the divine in you and those who come before us.
Yes.
Before my head here was no head at all. No. I'm actually wearing moldavite, which is a crystal that is told to have been what is called the Holy Grail stone. It's a stone of transformation, of beginning. It's found only in one place on the planet, and there's a lot of energy that resonates with that particular stone. And I'm not sly, but that's okay. The family is still stone. So
he got a lot of jokes, family. He's got a lot of jokes.
I think if you would be so kind as to get my my script over there for the miracle prayer, I want to open us up with the miracle prayer, and we're going to get right into our reading. The reason why I'm doing that is because I don't know if you people are familiar or aware or what time you're going to capture this, but we have entered into a new energy dimension of people, persons, places, and things which are definitely required for transformation into a new experience. The pendulum is swinging to the other direction, which is a good thing when you come to recognize that the vibration and the frequency of our planet and that which we experience has to be in balance. It must. This is what brings all things together and holds it in its place. With that being said, the miracle prayer which I bring forth is a prayer which has in it the energy to persevere, to be able to see the connection between cause and effect, to see the big picture, to spread spirituality throughout the world, manifesting things in the right way for restoral or restoration and renewal. And it activates the consciousness of the non-physical in our realm of time, space, and motion by removing the negative influence of physical matter from our lives so that unconditional love is what we experience, what we vibrate, and what we become. The words Hokmah is wisdom. The word Kiter is crown. Bina is Hebrew for understanding. Chassid is the word for kindness. Alabakoach Gidulach Lameneka Teter Tezerua. Gevurah is judgment. Gabel Rinat Ameka Sagvanu Taharanu Nora. Teferet is beauty. Na Gibor Dorishe Yakodaka Gavavat Shamrim. Nitzach is the word for eternity. Vacham Taharam Harakame Tazid Kateka, Tamid Kamlim. Hod is the word for splendor. Kasina Katosh, Baruf Tufka, Nael Adeteka. Yesod is word for foundation. Hebrew word for foundation. Yesod. Yakid Ge'e, Leamak Pene, Sokre, Katushateka. Malkut is the word, the Hebrew word for kingdom, for majesty. Shavatanu, Kabel Ushma, Tazar Katanu, Yode To Alamot. Production Kivod Malkuto, Violam Vahid. When you say the Anabakoa, the miracle prayer, it is good. Blessings, Michael. Blessings, John. Harvey. Good to see you both. It is good to give honor to the divine. In so doing, you whisper the last portion. We are here to aid in our understanding of a deeper wisdom, a deeper spirituality, and a deeper love for ourselves, our planet, and the globe of humanity. We are using this week our reading from Kahlil Gibran's The Prophet. And it's interesting, it says, speak to us a close, when in actuality, the passage really relates more to recognizing the body is a spiritual temple, recognizing the vibration of what the body is. So the weaver comes to speak and ask the question of close of a prophet who has lived amongst these people of Orphalese for several years. He has become acquainted with the people, and the people have become acquainted with him in such a way to where they have built a relationship, a friendship, a bond, of which now his ship comes, of which is in the harbor, awaiting him to set sail with the brethren of his place of his birth. So tonight I wear the Moldavite crystal, which is actually believed to have come from another planet completely. A meteor struck the earth over near Czechoslovakia, and the only place in which the stone can be found is from there. It is a stone of new beginnings, and that's what we are embarking upon when we come to recognize that the vibration of the universe itself, of the earth itself, is moving from the yin energy to the yang energy. That means from negative energy to positive energy. That means from male dominant energy to female presence and recognition of the beauty of creation. And that which we call recreation will now be transformed to be recreation, spelled the exact same way. But it's the vibration of the words that are so very important. So let us go into the reading, and we will continue to expound upon what we see and what we share. If you would begin for us.
And the weaver said, speak to us of clothes. And he answered,
your clothes conceal much of your beauty, yet they hide not the unbeautiful. When we, watch your buttons, when we say that, think about it. The clothes do not hide the unbeautiful. So the clothes do not hide beauty. But then it is termed here, does not hide the unbeautiful. Let us continue the reading. And though you seek in garments the freedom of privacy, you may find in them a harnessed and a chain. That's pretty interesting because in the freedom of privacy, you may find in them a harness and a chain, the dependence of having clothes to wear, the need to hide maybe what you would consider your shame, to feel a certain way of which you should not feel, when it is God vibration, God energy, God source that has given you that which you have, that which sustains you, that which brings the manifestation of the beauty, the life, the living that you share in every experience, every relationship that you have. Would that you could meet the sun and the wind with more of your skin and less of your raiment. For the breath of life is in the sunlight, and the hand of life is in the wind. What does he mean by this? Would that you could meet the sun and the wind with more of your skin. I don't know if you have experienced this, but those who allow the sun to bathe them in completeness, there's a certain feeling that you get. The sun itself radiates vitamin D energy of which the body needs. The supplements that you take are nothing in comparison to what the sun provides. Nonetheless, it is better than nothing at all. There's places they say the sun don't shine. I'm going to tell you from personal experience. You let the sun shine there, and you're going to feel something that's going to be like, wow, that was serious. And there are people, look it up on Google, who are actually doing that. And they are saying that there is a shift in their energy, a shift in their emotions, because they are allowing the sun to shine. And don't do it in such a way to where it's going to cause you sunburn or the madness that people are experiencing when they aren't doing things in moderation. And the hand of life is in the wind. For the breath of life is in the sunlight. And the hand of life is in the wind. Now, if the breath of life, that which you breathe in and out, is the breath of life, it is the breath of life when you identify it as such. Oftentimes in meditation, what we'll do is take a deep breath. When I take that deep breath, I open up the expanse of my lungs. People who, I used to smoke years ago. And in order to keep my lungs healthy, outside of the smoking, which is not good, the body's not used to smoke. It didn't come here with smoke and shouldn't have smoke in it. But, you know, there's that which is permissible but may not be beneficial. And praise be to the Almighty, I have no lung issues. But taking a deep breath, on occasion, I suggest it to do as often as possible. You expand your lungs, you open your lungs, you allow the cilia within the lungs to move those impurities that are in them out, and it expands in such a manner to where you become more oxygenated. The body itself should have a pulse ox, which is the oxygen level, which is utilized in hospitals, of somewhere around 98%, as much as 100%. The oxygen in our atmosphere is only something around the average of 28%, along with other stuff in the air. But the pulse ox is regulating and measuring the amount of oxygen in your bloodstream. So the deeper you breathe, the more oxygen you attain in your lungs. And you permit your lungs to function as they ought. For it is a tree within your lungs, those bronchial tubes that goes into the alveoli, the brachial aspects of each lung. You take that breath, you sometimes can hold it and just let it out slowly. It's such a good feeling. Some people get dizzy from it because they don't do it. The interesting thing about it is your lungs are almost the inversion of what the trees are providing for you. For your lungs and trees are synonymous with one another. If you think of it, you see the trees and how they look when the leaves fall off of them. That's how your lungs look on the inside. And as the earth furnishes from the roots into the trunk of the tree, that which the tree then gives to us, we receive it in the reverse manner. Blessings, D. What's up, Linda? Cuz, how you be? Hey, Val. So the beauty of life is in everything that we do, say, and vibrate, because all of life is energy and vibration. So there's a section here that speaks of the north wind. And the north wind is what brings winter, what brings historically the cold weather into our general atmosphere. Here we're on the East Coast. And in here it says, but shame was his loom. And a loom is something that is utilized to make clothes, if you will. And as you move the thread together and weave them together, well, this is the weaver who is asking of the clothes. They weave together that which brings your clothing, and that clothing here, it speaks, shame was its loom, and the softening of the sinews was its thread. Sinews is basically that material that comes from animals, that can be what you've seen on violin bows. And that's a nice, solid, thread-like material. It's the thing that actually allows your tendons to operate, move back and forth. Ligaments, tendons, sinews, that which is the thing that holds things together. Those are a couple of words that we're about to enter into, and we wanted to share that with you before reading that section. And this section, therefore, goes as follows. Some of you say, it is the north wind who has woven the clothes we wear. Ah, I say aye. It was the north wind, but shame was his loom, and the softening of the sinews was his thread. And when his work was done, he laughed in the forest. Forget not that modesty is for a shield against the eye of the unclean. Think about this. The eye of the unclean. Women, Arlene's seen this, I've seen it, you've seen it. They're walking around now with these spandex. And truth be told, I gotta make sure my mind is clean when I see them in there, because if I don't see them in the spandex, they look like they're naked to me. I see booty. I see other things. I try not to see it. So I'm trying to be respectable about it. But we've come into such a place now to where modesty has shifted its course. I tell you, I was reading an article of the English years ago who made clothing for dogs and cats. And people thought that it was because of the cold. No, the prudish women of England had come together because they didn't like the idea that you could see the dog's balls. I'm sorry, the dog's scrotum and private parts. And they was like, oh dear, we should do something about this. This is outrageous. Oh. So they came together to make this happen. And that's the history behind dogs and animals wearing clothes. Even though we do understand that there are situations to where animals need clothing, like horses in the field when the temperature drops and you need them outside. I mean, you're not going to keep the barn full of heat. But you guys who have horses, y'all know the rest of the story. Um, I don't want to bring Arlene in here. Even though here it says, and when his work was done, he laughed in the forest. All right, let's go over this again. It is the north wind who has woven your clothes we wear. Aye, it was the north wind, but shame was his loom, and the softening of the sinews was his thread. And when his work was done, he laughed in the forest. Think about this. There's no animals on this planet that wear clothes unless you put them on them. If you want to claim that the bear wears fur,
it grows out of the bear skin, though.
Yeah. I mean, so does hair from our skin, from our bodies. Yeah, so it's a part of that natural process. But naturally, we don't. So we weaken ourselves, in essence. When you look at the whole process here, we are weakening our bodies because we don't allow the sun to come and radiate us with the vitamin D. The best time to get vitamin D is early in the morning as the sun is rising before it reaches that corona, which is this high point when it becomes blinding to the eyes. It's not best to really look directly in the sun at that particular time. But before then, one of the things I really enjoy doing is looking at the sun through the trees. And in the wintertime, when you look at the sun through the trees, you'll see a magnification that you would not have even recognized. I remember one time I was in Ocean City, Maryland area, and as the sun was rising, I had looked across the horizon, and it was the latter part of March, just before the seasons were about to change. And as I was looking through the tree branches into the sun, I could clearly see a robin sitting on the branch, moving. And this was a distance. This wasn't like close up. And it was just a good feeling for me because it was a hard winter that year. And it was a blessing to see that bird bringing spring with it. So I appreciated that and wanted to share that experience. As Arlene now is going to share some experiences in what we have read thus far. Arlene. She's my best friend. What's up, Kenny?
I hope so. What I found interesting about this section was that it talks about how the clothes conceals much of your beauty, yet they does not hide the unbeautiful. So that particular line really struck me because what you know, the body in and of itself is really, I would say, a marvel of Godgenuity.
Yeah, creation is so
Yeah.
beautiful. Godgenuity. I love that word. I think I'm going to use it one day.
So, hi, John. So the whole conception of that particular line, I think, really brings to our attention that there is a inner world that needs to be addressed in terms of our consciousness. Although he here continues to talk about clothing and
The modesty of the body.
modesty of the body.
Mm.
Yeah.
You want me to keep reading?
Yeah, you can keep
Okay.
reading because, you know, I did not have a whole lot to say about that, but that one line did strike me as an important line.
And if those who have just joined, I have moldavite on my forehead, which is a crystal of, they say, of unearthly origin. What's up, Lisa? Lisa. And moldavite is known to many as the Holy Grail of that, which they believe is for the magnification of positive energies, of removing negative energies, of transformation, of new beginnings. And I was just compelled to actually pull the stone out, which is interesting because I haven't had this stone on for some time. So we're going to finish the reading here of Kahlil Gibran. And then I'm going to read through it in its entirety, and then I'm going to go and give you some more commentary. Because what's interesting about this passage, it's really not about clothes, but it's about how clothes has caused us to become frail in our natural experience of life's living. We are the only creatures on the planet who have become compelled to need clothes. When it gets cold, I put on more clothes than anybody. Trust and believe me. I work outside, and I make sure I maintain the body temperature that's necessary. So much so to where when I work in the winter, I am protected from the cold, but I have to make sure I put on the right amount of clothes because if I'm moving snow in the truck, I don't want to get myself to such a place to where I got too much clothes on and I'm burning up because I may have to get out and start the shoveling, and man, it gets hot. But in the summertime, I'm still covering myself. I don't like the dust of the ball diamonds on my skin. I don't like cutting the grass when the wind is blowing and the machines is throwing the stuff all over the place and it gets all over my face and don't get in my eyes. Don't get in my eyes. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes you'll see me, I look like a superhero. I got a mask on, I got a garment, I'm like ready to fly. Anyway.
And just so you know, it's just that we, like I would say that we have really been heavily influenced by the Western world because there are some cultures, indigenous cultures, that do not wear clothing. And they have a totally different type of mindset when it comes to the human body.
Yeah, and so there's not any shame there. It's not any judgment. It is just the recognition of this is a normal, natural thing. So the reading continues. And when, let me read the last. Forget not that modesty is for a shield against the eye of the unclean. And when the unclean shall be no more, what were modesty but a fetter and a fouling of the mind. And forget not that the earth delights to feel your bare feet, and the winds long to play with your hair.
Okay, so again, he's not really talking about clothing as much as he's talking about mindset
Mm-hmm.
and how there is a certain aspect of our culture that, okay, there are going to be some men who have challenges with that, but with what I'm about to say, but hear me out for a moment. Over in this part of the world, the women have been objectified and technically in put in positions where they are having to be more mindful of how it is that they're expressing themselves in the world. And a larger part of that is because there is a culture that that would have women feel unsafe in the world. And so, in truth be told, I think the best term for it is that we have, we operate in a culture that is considered like considered a rape culture.
Rape culture.
Rape culture.
Yeah.
That it does not representative of the old guard coming out of office.
Yeah, the eye of the unclean. That guy.
It's not so much the body itself. It is the mind of the people who are looking at the body. And so again, his section here talking about clothing is really not about clothing, but about the mindset of those who would go into a different space if they saw or witnessed somebody's nakedness.
Yeah, and when the unclean shall be no more, what were modesty but a fetter and a fouling of the mind? That's what she's talking about with that rape culture. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, that is it.
So I have a commentary that I like to read for you, and then I'm going to read this section again. The commentary I thought was very interesting because it's a commentary from someone who is not of this culture. So that's a pretty cool thing because of the way in which he expresses it. He says, Al-Mustafa, this is the prophet, his name, again has a great flight toward the heights and comes really close to the stars. I emphasize that he comes very close because he goes on missing a few essential things. If he had reached the target, he would not have missed them. It is one of the most fundamental principles of life that the bridge between you and the whole, even if traveled just a little bit, starts to cleanse your eyes, your perception. But even at the very last step in the journey, the whole secret is not revealed to you. Not that existence is miserly. Existence is very just. It reveals only as much as you can absorb. If you are not capable of absorbing the truth yet, existence protects you.
Here's some results from the web.
Well, really.
Yeah,
The results,
Madam Google, really?
Yeah. The results happen to say something about lie and truth, which I thought was interesting. But as we continue to read what we have available here, if you are not totally ready for love and existence opens all the mysteries of love to you, It will not give you joy. It will give you pain. It will not give you insight. It will blind you. When a blind man has an operation for a few days, he is still kept unaware of the light and the sun. His eyes remain covered with a blindfold. If the blind man who has been operated and is no longer blind is suddenly told, now you can go home. Now you can see the sun, the trees, the birds, the people you have been living with. He will reach home with burnt eyes, again blind. And the second operation is going to be far more difficult. Nature may be slow, but it is to your favor. It gives you only that which you can digest. Hence, I say, Al-Mustafa has come very close to some beautiful experiences, revelations, but he has not reached the target yet. His statements are true, but only fragmentary. And I would like you to remember that a half-truth sometimes proves more dangerous than a lie, because one can be deceived by the half-truth for his whole life. Nobody can be deceived by lies for that long. So I would like to make the truth complete, to indicate to you why I am saying it is only half-truth. And the weaver said, speak to us at close. This is the beauty of Kahlil Gibran, that he brings immense insight into the very ordinary things. If you ask a philosopher about clothes, he will laugh and he will say, go to some weaver or a tailor. Philosophy has nothing to do with clothes, but there is not anything in life which is unimportant. If it appears unimportant, it only means your perceptivity is not clear. The moment your perceptivity is clear, your eyes are innocent. The small pebble on the shore becomes a mystery, and the greatest star in the sky becomes the pebble, and the pebble becomes the star, because they both belong to the same mystery. And he says, your clothes conceal much of your beauty, yet they hide not the unbeautiful. This is a half-truth, because clothes were discovered by the unbeautiful to hide it. You see, you don't see animals or any birds having clothes. Man is the only living thing being on the planet who has invented clothes. For what? Superficially, it seems to protect you from the rain, from the winter, from the summer. But if all the animals and all the trees are protected without clothes, man seems to be in a fallacy. But why did man, in the very beginning, become interested? The first reason was, and the biblical story indicates a certain truth, that when Adam and Eve ate the fruit of knowledge and were no more innocent, they immediately felt ashamed of their nakedness. Man has tried to cover his nakedness, and the people who are more unbeautiful are more obsessed with clothes. The more beautiful a person is, he or she would like not to hide his beauty behind the clothes. Goes to show what Arlene was saying. Women are supposed to recognize the beauty that they have. They have an inherent feeling of beauty, of that which has been given them, been granted to them of God, to show that beauty. If not so obvious as when a woman wears a crown, which is her hairdress or her head. It's interesting how it is so tricky that we oftentimes don't see that we do not recognize how beautiful all of life is in that which is before us and through the things in which we see and that which is expressed. What is there to be ashamed of in your nakedness? Nothing. Nothing at all. And there are such idiots in the world that in the Victorian age, this is what I was talking about before, Barrett Russell remembers it from his childhood because he lived most of his whole century and saw thousands of changes happening in the century. Even dogs had clothes. And it is to be noted that in London, there was a society consisting only of ugly and dilapidated women who were forcing everybody and created much fuss that dogs should not be left naked. It can corrupt their children, their morals. So special garments were made for dogs. Crazy, right? But it goes to show how people can be so influenced about so many things that we don't even give thought to. But then, like Arlene was saying, it is of the mind. When we let our mind run awry, we mess the whole situation up. The body is the temple of the Most High. The body can be adorned with clothing, but you should not allow clothing to be that which is a chain of embarrassment or to hide that which your mind has been conditioned to believe is nasty or naked or unclean. Because Adam and Eve didn't feel that way from the beginning until they ate the tree from the tree of knowledge, right? And then it was like, oh God, oh, we naked. Hey, where did that come from? That's why I think when God was like, yo, Adam, where are you? Well, didn't say yo, but he said, Adam, where art thou? Where art thou, Adam? You're like, man, I ain't got no clothes on. I can't come out. Who told you that? I mean, literally, that's what the Bible said. And y'all look it up. Is it? Well, you can Google that too. So do you want to make a comment? Let me see what time do we have. I want to read this section through again. Okay.
Alrighty.
And I'm reading in its entirety. As we have expressed it and explained it, I want to see if I can bring it through with the cadence of what the poet had brought forth to us.
And the weaver said, speak to us of clothes. And he answered,
your clothes conceal much of your beauty, yet they hide not the unbeautiful. And though you seek in garments the freedom of privacy, you may find in them a harness and a chain. Would that you could meet the sun and the wind with more of your skin and less of your raiment, which is clothes. For the breath of life is in the sunlight, and the hand of life is in the wind. Some of you say, it is the north wind who has woven the clothes we wear. And I say, aye, it was the north wind, but shame was his loom, and the softening of the sinews was his thread. And when his work was done, he laughed in the forest. Forget not that modesty is for a shield against the eye of the unclean. And when the unclean shall be no more, what were modesty but a fetter and a fouling of the mind? And forget not that the earth delights to feel your bare feet, and the wind longs to play with your hair. You know, when you say, oh, that was a good breeze, think about it. What made you say that? I know. It was the wind, happy to touch you. And you felt that. When you walk on the soil itself, people equate that now with the beach and the feeling that that happens to have. But the beach, the sand, literally is crystals under your feet. And crystals have vibration. And so does the water. And there's a combination of a coming together that you have not clearly understood. So when it says, when the unclean shall be no more, what were modesty but a fetter and a fouling of the minds? Because when there's no need to be ashamed, and there's no need to hide because somebody wants to start drooling and want to take from a woman the preciousness that God has given them to share with someone of which she loves, then when you are together in that place of intimacy, what will modesty but a fetter and a fouling of the mind? Because when you're in that space of love and y'all together, y'all all naked and carries on, who's modest? Who's modest? Not me. Nor should you be. So the vibration of harmony and love is so key. And when you find that, you can feel that when you're in a relationship with someone else. So don't let clothes be the thing that disconnects you from the harmony of the love that God has in store for you. But let it be that which is the appreciation of what God has given you, so that others can appreciate that which you do wear. And when you are not wearing, that can also be appreciated.
That sounds beautiful.
Oh, thank you, my dear. It's all because of you. So, is there anything you'd like to share before we close out?
No, I think I am complete.
Excellent, excellent. We are bringing this to you every Sunday at 6 o'clock. And we are grateful for your presence. And as you continue to look at this during the course of the week, know that we are aware of the changes that has occurred in our society. And we ask that you all continue to pray for the positivity and the benefit of humanity at large, because the whole planet was waiting for this opportunity, for this shift. And it's an energy shift that's going on. In our discussion today, one of the things we thought, and which I'm compelled to share right now, the vibration of yin energy is not a negative thing, to the extent that we classify yin as negative and yang as positive, or yin as male and yang as female. But life is a balance, and as the pendulum swings from one side to the next, as the continuation of creation does what it does, we have come into a place in a space of which the pendulum in and of itself was limited in its swinging. And as we were talking today, the vision that I received is that the pendulum needed to swing wider. And as it swang wider, swang, if that's such a word, it broke free of its barriers on both sides. So as that negative energy was kicking off, when there was that negative vibration in the White House that affected the world, it was only clearing the swing so it could swing in the opposite direction, so that it can clear that side and be more of a swing for the balance that's necessary for the planet itself. It's interesting that a lot of people have complaints about Biden and the thinking that he had from a white supremacist mentality that he was raised in to actually operate from, because of his background of being in that vibration. And he had made some decisions of which he had recanted, and the interesting thing is, as he absorbed the vibration of the president, of whom selected him to be one in that office,
running mate,
right?
Vice President.
One in that office, the running mate.
Mm-hmm.
He learned more of the vibration of love and the energy that Obama has within his spirit. Okay, and of course, stay mindful. The president does not rule. So even while in that office, he had to be under constraints, because I'm telling you, there was a situation I saw where it was Boehner had said something and man, I would have went down there and whipped it in. But Obama was cool. He just looked at it and was like, really, dude, really? You know, when he said, you lie, oh, such disrespect.
Mm-hmm.
But respect cancels regret. Trust and believe me when I tell you that. I asked Spirit for a phrase that was quick, sweet, and simple, that can be applied to all situations. And that phrase is powerful. Respect cancels regret. So we know that there's a possibility this is probably the oldest president-elect that there's ever been. He may serve one term, which is possible. But check this out. As things move into the next, what's up, Renee? As things move to the next vibration, they are aligning a woman of color to step into the office of presidency.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether they know that they're doing this or not, doesn't matter. For all things of divine order will align in accordance to divine will. With that being said, my wife said this, which I thought was so powerful this morning. She said that she had a friend who had a child who was very fair in color. And a white man came to her and said, is that your baby? Is that your child? And the woman felt a bit offended because the child being lighter than what she was, she really didn't know what to say. But my wife said, I wish I was there to tell her. What she needed to say was, I'm a black woman. And as a black woman, we birth all nations. Whoa. As a black woman, we birth all nations. So what we're seeing, as I was telling you, I'm wearing the motorbike over my, I don't even wear jewelry on my head, yo, for real though. It's just that I was supposed to do this today. Hey, Grandma Edna, how you doing? It's Shakara.
Hi, Zakia. Hi, Nicole.
Hey, love you all.
Hi, Elizabeth.
So that vibration is shifting on the planet itself. One of the energies that has come upon me is to see that more people love each other more. That's all I really want in this world. For more people to love each other more. Can you imagine what this planet would be like? Just focus on that. More people loving each other more. I mean, no matter what the situation is, that thought come to you. It's like somebody made you mad. Boom, wait a minute. Love people more. I remember DMX had a song where he was talking about how Shorty went and kind of crossed him. But because he knew his people, he didn't do what he was going to do, because the streets have a certain code. And you cross somebody, there's some things that's going to happen. But when people learn to love each other more, we won't have to worry about having to cross somebody in the street code. We won't have to worry about when the unclean shall be no more, because they're going to just dissipate. And we'll have that planet that we're looking for. Mm-hmm. So yes, we are the founders of civilization. We are the men and women, the original men and women of the earth, and the founders of civilization. Trust and believe me when I tell you this. All of earth was birthed out of the Black woman. And there's a shift that is coming that's going to knock everybody's socks off. And that's one of the reasons why I got to do what I do as I do what I do when I do it. I'm not going to repeat that because I don't think I can. But with that being said, we love you all.
Okay. No.
You good? You want to say some more?
No. I think you did pretty good.
I just love people's. I do.
All right. We love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. We give you thanks for you. And we know that wherever you are, God is.
Yes. One love.
All right. See you next week.
Yes. 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock.